Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me for this new episode of Inspiring Our World. My name is Julie Tara, and today we're going to talk about shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. Imagine breathing in refreshing forest air. The smell of nature in the air is so sweet. Did you know that this enticing smell is not only a sensory pleasure, but actually an aspect of preventive health in Japanese medicine? Called shinrin-yoku, its literal translation is forest bathing. Though any kind of nature can enhance our health and happiness, there's something special about being in a forest. The Japanese Society of Forest Medicine, headed by Dr. Qing Li, promotes research on the therapeutic effects of forests on human health and educates people on the practice of forest bathing, which involves slowly walking through a forest, taking in the atmosphere through all your senses and enjoying the benefits. In 1982, Japan launched a national program to encourage forest bathing, and by 2004, a formal study on the link between forests and human health had begun in Liyama, a place known for its lush green forests. Now, more than 2.5 million people walk those forest trails as a way to ease stress and enhance health. After years of study, Dr. Qing Li has found that spending time in a forest can help reduce stress, anxiety, depression, and anger. The result is a boost to the immune system, improved cardiovascular and metabolic health, and an increase in the feeling of overall well-being. In the Western world, exercise is the primary solution for promoting cardiovascular, metabolic, and mental health. When you're walking through a forest and inhaling that natural air, you're not only getting moderate exercise, but also hanging out with trees, which turns out to be an important part of preventive health. Dr. Qing Li discovered this when he was a stressed-out student and went on a week of forest camping. He returned feeling restored both physically and mentally, so much so that it inspired him to research forests and their benefits on human well-being. Those of us who don't have easy access to a forest and forest bathing can have the next best thing. Since indoor air quality is often worse than outdoor air, how soothing would it be to have forest-like air indoors? How much would we benefit from breathing natural forest-like air in our own homes? Say hello to the Kenko air purifier. Its middle name is HEPA 13, and it can filter air particles so small that they're not visible to the naked eye. Due to negative ion technology, you receive filtered air that simulates what's found in nature. Nature as in forests and lakes. In other words, you're getting as close to forest bathing as you can without actually hanging out with the trees. In keeping with the Nikken pledge to be in harmony with nature, the Kenko air purifier operates ozone-free, so it's non-toxic. It has a reusable pre-filter which can be washed, and the other filters can be replaced easily every 6 months. You breathe cleaner air and decrease your carbon footprint at the same time. A win-win situation you can enjoy year-round, as long as you remember to replace the filters on time. If you live somewhere that has especially dense air quality, replace the filters more often. Every time you see the red light is on, you'll know your Kenko air purifier is cranking, so your air gets cleaner. Lately, even the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, is recommending the use of a HEPA air filter in homes. Don't wait for visible signs of bad air to show up in your home. Mold, mildew, musty odors, dust, and dander can all be addressed with good filtration. You don't have to wait long to feel and smell the benefits from the Kenko air purifier. I know that you love the Kenko air purifier as much as I do. I love it so much I have 6 of them in my home because I just think fresh, clean, negative ion-rich air is the bomb. It's the thing. We want it. And did you know that using air conditioning actually creates a lot of positive ions in the air? And that is very depleting to our health. So we want to counteract air conditioning with our negative ion-rich purifiers. Did you also know that in the winter, when you're using your heating, your forced air, that also creates a lot of positive ions, which again is not good for us. It makes us feel sad and down and depressed. And so we want to counteract that again with negative ions that help us feel happy. They are the major happiness effect molecule we could ever find. They are fabulous. Well, you know, I want you to think about your life and where you have lived and how have you found ways to find that joy of being outside with the trees, you know, hanging out with the trees. I love trees, and I know you do too. I've never met a person that doesn't love being with trees. You know, I started thinking back a little into my own life and just different places I've lived. And I just thought I'd share with you the awareness that came to me. And this is why I'm thinking it would be fun for you to do this as well. You know, where I was first born and brought up was in Cambridge, England. And in Cambridge, England, there were lots of trees and lots of rivers, and it was lovely to go walking. And I was a big tree climber from a very young age. I just wanted to be hanging out in the trees, shall we say, not just with the trees. So it was always fabulous there. And then when I was 9 years old, I moved to Los Angeles. And, you know, I have to say that the air quality, it was really kind of a shock for me. I've never had the experience of smog. And, you know, as my little family and I, we used to go to the San Gabriel Mountains, my mom and dad and myself, to just be in fresh air and be with the trees. And of course, we'd also go to the ocean because there was lots of negative ions there. So that's how we kind of worked with it in Los Angeles. Now, in London, I was lucky enough to live in the Richmond Park, which is 2,500 acres, from the age of 10 to 15 in boarding school there at the Royal Ballet School. That park was filled with trees and deer and bunny rabbits and squirrels. It was fabulous. And again, I would climb the trees a lot, but also walk within them. And it always felt so good. So I was very blessed with that, and hope you were too, with something like that in your childhood. Now, later I moved to Amsterdam, and in Amsterdam, it wasn't quite so easy. But luckily there were some parks. So often when you're in a big city, you can go to the parks. And luckily I lived near the Vondel Park, in fact, right on the Vondel Park. So I used to spend a lot of time in that park in my free time when I wasn't dancing with Dutch National Ballet. Now later I moved to Boston. And again, Boston was a little bit of a shock. Being a big city, the air wasn't great. And so we used to go to parks all the time. And then as soon as we could, we'd take off and go to the White Mountains, to the forests there and the streams. And, you know, this was sort of an unconscious thing. This was just like, oh, it's going to be so good to get out into those forests. So I think often we know what will actually be supportive of our health without rationalizing it, without thinking, oh, well, it's the negative ions, so on and so forth. I wasn't thinking that. I just knew we loved going up to the White Mountains with my new little family, my children. And then I lived in Western Massachusetts and upstate New York. And again, there were lots of trees, lots of walking. It was fabulous. And my children loved it, and I also. then we all moved to Miami, and that was really different. The air was very different there. And again, not so very fresh. So we'd go to parks as much as we could and climb the big banyan trees that was so easy to climb and fun to climb. And then, of course, we had the ocean. So we'd go there a lot as well. But when we moved to Colorado, oh my goodness, I was astonished by how fresh the air was. Now, what's interesting is when you first come to Colorado, if you're in Denver, you say, wow, the air's fabulous here. But then you go a little further outside of Denver and you go to Boulder and you say, oh my gosh, the air is that much cleaner and better here. But when I started my healing center, I moved to Estes Park, which is right next to the Rocky Mountain Park, and bought a fabulous center there to build this healing center. And the air up there in Estes Park by the Rocky Mountain Park was absolutely stellar. So many trees, so much opportunity for walking in them, for that forest bathing, for that shinrin-yoku effect. And so then when I would come back down to Boulder, I'd say, wow, the air's not so great down here. And then I'd go down to Denver and I go, oh, the air is awful down here, and couldn't wait to get back home. So my point is that air is terribly important for our health and our happiness. And not only do we want to go outside into the forest and enjoy breathing that wonderful air and enjoy being with the trees, because they're a family, they're a community, just like our Nikken community is a family. And that's one of the reasons we love it, but also all that good energy that they give off. And then, of course, at home, we are blessed to have the Kenko air purifier so that we can have that experience and that feeling every day and every night as we sleep. This is a wonderful part of our Nikken Wellness Home. I know you appreciate it just as much as I do. I'm so grateful for everything we have, but I got to say that Kenko air purifier, it's right up there at the top with our sleep and our water. Wow. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week and take as many opportunities as you can to be outside, walking in the forests. Find an aspen grove, find a pine forest, find a forest somewhere. Go enjoy it with your family or just by yourself, taking a beautiful meditative walk, and have a super week. And I will chat with you again next week. Bye for now.